Think about the last time you told a small lie. Maybe you said you were fine. Maybe you said you loved the gift. Maybe you said you were almost there when you hadn't even left the house. You felt in control. Your voice sounded normal. Your words came out smooth. But for 1/25th of a second, your face told the truth anyway. You didn't feel it happen. You couldn't have stopped it if you tried. And the person across from you almost certainly didn't consciously see it either. But it happened. It always happens. And the story of why is far stranger than some people are just bad liars. For most of human history, you didn't need to hide what you felt. Your face simply told everyone. Fear looked like fear. Anger looked like anger. There was no advantage in disguising it because your ancestors lived in small groups where hiding your true state from people who could see you every day for years was almost impossible. Deception is expensive. It takes mental effort to build a false version of events and hold it steady while your real feelings push against it from underneath. That pressure has to go somewhere. In the 1960s, a psychologist named Paul Ekman set out to understand what happens to the face during that pressure. He filmed psychiatric patients, including one that later admitted she had hidden a plan to take her own life during an interview, smiling and reassuring her doctors the entire time. When Ekman reviewed the footage in slow motion, he found something that doctors had missed in real time. A flash of pure anguish across her face, lasting a fraction of a second, buried inside her smile. He called these flashes microexpressions. They last somewhere between 1/25th and 1/5th of a second, too fast for most people to consciously register, too fast to control, and according to Ekman's later research, remarkably consistent across cultures that had never had contact with each other, suggesting they are not learned behavior, but something closer to biological reflex. Why would evolution build a system that leaks the very information you're trying to hide? Because for almost all of human history, the leak wasn't a bug, it was a feature. Groups that could sense a lie, even imperfectly, could catch a free rider before he ate more than his share of the meat. They could sense a threat before it became violence. A face that occasionally betrayed the truth beneath a false calm was a face that helped keep the group alive, even when it belonged to the person doing the lying. Your ancestors weren't rewarded for hiding emotion perfectly. They were shaped by a world where nobody could hide emotion perfectly, and where everyone, cheater and honest person alike, carried a face that told on them just enough to keep the group functioning. You inherited that same face. Every muscle, every twitch, every half-second slip is a piece of that same old machinery, still running exactly as designed, whether you wanted to or not. Here's where it gets stranger. You would think, with all this leaking going on, that people should be excellent at spotting lies, face to face in real time, watching another human being. They're not. Researcher Maureen O'Sullivan and Ekman ran a study looking for people who could reliably detect deception at rates far above chance. They tested police officers, judges, psychiatrists, customs officials, and ordinary people. Out of thousands of people tested, they found only a small handful who consistently performed at expert levels. They called this rare group truth wizards. Everyone else, across almost every profession you'd assume should be good at this, performed close to a coin flip. How can the information be right there on your face and almost nobody can read it? Because a microexpression isn't a sentence, it's a flicker. Psychologist Bella DePaulo spent decades studying deception in everyday life and found that people lie far more often than they think, usually about small, low-stakes things, and that these lies are woven so seamlessly into ordinary conversation that most go completely undetected. Not because the signals aren't there, but because nobody is looking closely enough, and because most people aren't trained to separate a flicker of guilt from a simple flicker of discomfort. You are not built to consciously catch these signals. You are built to feel them. That uneasy sense that something is off about a conversation, the hair on your arms rising slightly, the small hesitation before you decide to trust someone. That's not intuition in some mystical sense. That's your nervous system picking up on signals faster than your conscious mind can name them. Your brain has been reading faces before you could read words. Think about how much of a human infant's early life is spent doing nothing but staring at faces. Long before a baby understands language, it is already tracking subtle shifts around the eyes and mouth, already building a lifetime's worth of pattern recognition it will never consciously access. That system never turns off. It just runs quietly, underneath your awareness, for the rest of your life. So if the system is this old, this automatic, this built into you at the level of instinct, why does modern life feel like the perfect environment for lying to work? Because for the first time in the history of your species, you spend enormous amounts of your day looking at faces that aren't fully there. A video call compresses your expressions and delays them by fractions of a second. A phone screen shows you words with no face attached at all. A grainy photo, a filtered selfie, a muted meeting where half the cameras are off. Your ancient detection system evolved for full, high-resolution, real-time human faces, close enough to smell, lit by firelight or sunlight, not for a pixelated rectangle on a screen. The system built to catch your ancestors' cheaters is still running. It just doesn't have enough signal left to work with anymore. And yet, you still feel it try. You felt it on a video call, that vague sense that something didn't quite land right, even though you couldn't say what. You felt it reading a text message, wondering if the tone was really what it seemed. That's the oldest part of your brain, still doing its job, straining to read a face it can barely see. Meanwhile, the parts of modern life that do put you face to face with another person, close, unfiltered, in real time, are some of the highest stakes moments you'll ever be in. A negotiation, a first date, a hard conversation with someone you love. In every one of those moments, without ever deciding to, your face is transmitting a stream of information you can't fully control, and theirs is doing the same to you. You are not as unreadable as you think you are, and neither is anyone else. Every time you've caught someone in a lie without any real proof, just a feeling, you were likely picking up a flicker your conscious mind never registered. Every time someone caught you, the same thing happened in reverse. The story didn't end with Ekman. Researchers today, including work by Leanne Tanbrinke, have shown that even trained lie detectors, security officials among them, tend to perform no better than chance when relying on conscious judgment alone. What separates the rare truth wizards isn't superhuman focus, it's an ability to let the automatic system do its work without the conscious mind talking over it. Which means the ability might already be inside you. It always has been. You've just spent your entire life being taught to trust your words over your face, when the truth is closer to the opposite. So tonight, when you tell someone you're fine, when you smile through something you don't quite feel, remember what's happening underneath. Somewhere on your face, for a 25th of a second, the truth is already out. You just weren't the one who was supposed to notice.